right, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of the Broadway Husbands podcast.
Woo! That's right. I can't believe it's episode 4 already.
Oh, so much time. Just
so much
flying.
time has gone by. Time flies when you're having fun.
This is Bret.
And I'm Stephen.
And we're the Broadway Husbands.
That's right.
Now, today we're going to talk a little bit about our decision to start a family, which is something we talked about a long time. But before we do that, you know what? I can't see anything because I have my glasses on. What does this say? I can't read it. Can you read this?
Yeah, where are we starting?
Today, we're talking about
Yeah, you're right.
Read it. Go.
Today we're talking about our decision to start a family. But before we do that, let's update peeps on what we are up to. So, Bret, what are you up to this week?
Well, I'm still learning my tracks over at Wicked.
Nice. How many tracks are you learning?
10.
What?
10 tracks.
10?
Well, 8 ensemble tracks and 2 principal tracks.
Nice.
And you are hitting Nutcracker season, you know?
Yeah.
Explain to the people what Nutcracker season is.
Well,
It sounds dirty, right?
it is sort of dirty. It can be very dirty and very sweaty. I also like to call it double tours for dollars. Every year, Nutcracker happens. It's performed around the country in a lot of locations. And I guess the first time I performed in a Nutcracker was, I think I was 11. And I've done a production, at least one production of it every year. Not every year, but just about every year since then. There's been a couple years that I've either been injured, or I know that there was at least 1 year or 2 years that I was in a Broadway show where I couldn't get out to do one.
What do you do in the Nutcracker season?
Now I just dance the Cavalier. I come out and I partner the Sugar Plum. And typically, some versions you just do a pas de deux and a coda, which the pas de deux is where the man and woman dance together, and then the coda is where we kind of are happily dancing quickly at the end. In some versions, you just do a coda, and in some versions, you also do a variation.
Which is a solo.
That's right, it's a solo. So, and then, and the solo that I do a lot of double tours in it. So I guess about 12 years ago now, I started calling it double tours for dollars, because that's what it feels like. I'm a dancer for money. I do double tours for dollars.
Where are you going, though? Because what I love about Stephen, like when we first started dating, he was like, oh, it's Nutcracker season. I got to go do all these Nutcrackers. And he would make all this cash like really fast. So it really is literally double tours for dollars. But you travel everywhere. And
yes, and I keep my clothes on. I do wear white tights and a gold and cream tunic.
Which, if you haven't seen Stephen in white tights, buy your tickets. Just saying.
So this year, there will be one that's in Alexandria, Virginia. One in Houston, Texas. I forgot. Yes, Houston. Yep. Another one in San Diego, California. And the final one is also in Virginia, and I cannot think of where it is right now.
That's good.
That's not good.
So you guys can't see it.
Yeah, that's not good. Wait, hold on one second. Let me look at it.
Well, last year, I was lucky enough. This is one of the first times that Stephen and I have actually performed together. I played Herr Drosselmeyer in the Nutcracker.
That's right.
That's the first time I've done that.
That's right.
It's very rare that we get to do something together.
So, Rockingham Ballet Theater. It is, the last one is in Bridgewater, Virginia. Yes. So that is the excitement. That is what I'm preparing for. Trying to get my body in shape. Every year, also this is the other thing, the older I get, every year I do this, I say that this is the last year that I will do this.
Every year.
And this year, I think that there is some truth to that, but stay tuned, because next year there might be more double tours for dollars.
All right, so today our coffee beverage of choice is super basic.
Super basic.
We went to Starbucks.
I just can't get enough of the cold brew with the coconut cream.
And I had to get the pumpkin cream cold brew.
He's really so basic.
So let's read to you guys today's
Spotlight on Love.
So we were told This person needed to stay anonymous, but this is what he wrote us. What do you do if you've been going on dates with a guy and on paper everything is great, but there's no spark? How do you let him down gently without being seen as a jerk? On paper everything's great, but there's no spark.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing. I think for me, I don't even think that it would have gotten that far, because if there's no spark, then I just can't hang out or go on dates. I mean, so I guess if it's already been happening, I feel like,
If everything was looking good on paper, wouldn't there be a spark? That's what I don't understand.
No, because a spark is like a chemical reaction that you get when you're around the other person. It's not about reading facts and then translating them into emotion. It's about...
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, let's see, if I wrote down on paper exactly what I wanted, one of the things would say spark. I would want to have a spark.
But that's not what he means. He means on paper, like, logistically, like, I live on 12th Street, he lives on 12th Street. I am 21, he's 21. I'm just saying 21 because that's totally not my age. And we're both Aquarius, and Aquarius goes good, you know, like that kind of thing.
So then what would you do without being a jerk?
I would slowly say I was busy and not accept dates with the person. I mean, I think the first thing I would do is, the first thing I would do is probably just not schedule as many dates or times to see them. And I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm saying that I would definitely pull back. And I'm not saying that maybe that's the right thing to do. I think the right thing to do would be to just be like straight up honest. Like, hey, you know what? I'm really not feeling this. Like, and I don't want to lead you on anymore. Like, I like hanging out with you as a friend, but you know, maybe that's the right thing to do. But I think that I would just like kind of pull back not.
I just want to point out that that's ghosting. Straight up ghosting.
Yes, thank you, Alan. See, this is a real beautiful example of our relationship. I would just like to point out.
There's no part about this that's about like our relationship.
Wait. Your reaction to this. Because I remember, when we first started dating, I would try to have conversations with you and I'd be like, we need to talk.
Mm-hmm, I remember this.
You still make fun of me for this.
This still happens, though. I'm just kidding. I think it just happened on our way here, actually. No, I'm just kidding. I do. Go ahead.
And if I didn't bring up these conversations, they would never happen.
Yes, but I will say the first time that Bret said, hey, listen, we need to talk. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, what is he going to say to me? The first issue that you had...
Oh, yeah. Say it.
Was that at night we would get into bed. I guess I would get into bed and just like get under the covers and be like, okay, good night. And like, I guess I would leave some lights on and maybe not.
Some.
So that was our first like, hey, we need to talk. And I was super concerned about what he was going to say. But then that was the conversation. He said, I just really need you to take some initiative. So to this day, that is like a joke between us. I'm like, can you just take some initiative and like do something?
Anytime somebody says the we'll be in a play,
we'll be anywhere they'll say initiative, and I'm just like, because I thought he was going to tell me that he wanted to break up. I mean, who knows? I was concerned in the way he said we needed to. So anyways, let's get back to the question.
Don't listen to Steve.
Go ahead. What is
you're not going to be a jerk if you sit the person down and just say, listen, I really like you and everything seems great. I always use
But that doesn't mean I really like you.
No, I really like you. I'm not saying like I want to... I would say... I always use this phrase when I'm coaching clients, right? The problem is the solution. So what's the problem? The problem is I like you, but this isn't this doesn't feel romantic to me, right? So how do you turn that into a solution? You say, this is really awkward to have this conversation, and I'm sorry to be the person to bring it up. You start with that.
But I'm taking the initiative.
And then you say, but I really think things look great on paper, but I'm just not feeling the romantic vibe. And it's not because you're of anything with you. I really hope we can be friends. And it's not going to go well, but that's the kindest way, just to be upfront and lay it out.
That's the most respectful, honest way to do it. Don't listen to what I said.
Steve's like, just disappear
I didn't
into the
say
bushes
disappear.
and walk away.
I said, maybe don't, reply so quickly, or like, yes, I'll meet you there. Like, maybe like wait an hour and be like, hey, I don't think I can do that.
I mean, the truth is, like, you can't, whether or not somebody perceives you as a jerk is not on your, you're not responsible for that.
So
like, you have to just be as respectful as possible, and then let them think and believe whatever they want to believe. It's not up to you.
And also, I think I guess you could look into like what's going on with you that you still want to keep seeing this person, even though you don't have a spark. So like, maybe that's like you don't want to be alone. Like maybe there's some other other things going on with you that have nothing to do with that. That like, maybe start hanging out with your friends again, and not necessarily put all the pressure on like trying to find a relationship and always feeling like you have to date somebody. Wow. Whoa, where did that come
Stephen.
from? I think my coffee just kicked in. Oh my goodness. Something like sort of good came out of my mouth.
Well, we hope that helps you, Anonymous. And can you say it without making it sound like you're reading?
No, because I can't see it. Where are we?
We're here.
If you want relationship and dating advice from our completely unqualified selves, DM us on Instagram at Broadway Husbands, or email us on BroadwayHusbands.com, and we may choose your question on the next episode.
Also, to guarantee you receive our advice, consider becoming a patron on Patreon, and you can join us live to ask your question. Check out this plus an array of other benefits at patreon.com/Broadway Husbands for more details.
Excellent.
Ooh.
Nice.
So
there's something I need to tell you.
What's that?
I'm just kidding. There's definitely a spark. It's been sparking for a while.
And you've taken some initiative.
And I've taken some initiative some of the time.
Most of the time.
Wait, can I just tell you another funny story?
Sure.
Really quick?
Sure.
Also in the beginning of our relationship, Bret, we were going to sleep, and
don't let this hit.
And one of the things I think Bret had mentioned to me at this point was that he felt like I wasn't talking as much or telling him what was on my mind. At least that's the way it felt at one point.
I don't remember this.
So, and I started talking before we go to bed. I'm like telling him all these things, and I'm not sure what I was saying, but I was like, just having a great conversation and telling him probably something important about my soul. And he turns to me and he says, I'm sure what you have to say is really important.
This is not what I said. Continue.
But I really need to get some sleep. And he said that.
Not
he
what
said
I
that.
said.
He did. Yes, he did.
I said, I really want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, yeah, I really want you to.
But I'm falling asleep right now.
You didn't say I'm falling asleep, but you said, I need to get some sleep. And he just went to bed. So, even if there is a spark, sometimes,
Would you rather me just falling asleep on you? Because that was going to happen.
Anyways, those are like two of my favorite things that happen at the beginning of a relationship.
Well, when we first started dating, I remember talking to you about marriage. Do you remember like having that conversation at dinner once? And it was like,
yes.
Would you ever want to get married?
Yeah.
And I feel like we also talked about having kids.
Yeah.
Really early on.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely talked about marriage. And I think that at the time, I didn't really know a lot of gay people that were married. So it was interesting. At the time, I was like in school and I had to write a paper on like really anything. So I decided to write a paper on gay marriage. So I did a lot of research after like our conversation, and then it really became like this real option in my life. I remember being like, yeah, I totally want to do this. And yes, it happens. And like people do it. And there are different laws in each state and understanding all of that. And in the conversation of having kids, I think we always talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but then we debated, do we want to adopt? We always said we were going to adopt.
Always,
and that had always been our thing, and that we couldn't wait for the day. And then, like, as we've both been creeping towards 40.
You mean 30?
This was a big year for both of us.
Not yet for me.
By the time this goes live,
but maybe
it will be. Sorry to tell you, Stephen. By the time this airs, you will be 40. And I'm talking
Bret,
to future Stephen.
Please stop.
He has such a hang up about his age.
No,
I think it's a dance thing.
It is a dance thing. I think it's just like, I don't know. Okay.
It doesn't bother me at all, but it bothers you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So
we decided we were going to adopt, and we started looking into things, and we went to the Gay and Lesbian Center. This is really good information for anybody out there who is curious about becoming parents.
And it was an informative meeting.
I think they do it like once a month.
Yeah, they do it once a month. And it was very, it covered all ways to have children through adoption, through surrogacy. It also, there were two lesbian couples there, and so they were, going over what they needed to do and going over what two gay men had to do, and just all the different ways that you could expand your family, whether it was adopting through foster or
look at the camera.
Oh, sorry. I'm just like all over the place. Yeah. So there were all kinds of, they covered
I remember,
all of it.
like, we went together, and the woman told the story about her child being adopted. She was a really interesting story, and Stephen was crying. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And you were like, "Oh my God, it's so beautiful." And we were like, "Wow, we really."
She actually had the experience of adoption and surrogacy,
she had both.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, that's what was super cool about that.
So we ended up putting that on our radar, talking about adoption.
And let's just talk about the timeline. So I think when we went to that meeting,
that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
At least. So that was at least 5 years ago. And so that was kind of in our heads, like what we needed to do. But we didn't really take any action on it. There was definitely a lot of conversation throughout time about it, but no real action. And then, what was the name of the movie that we watched?
Oh, shit.
We got to look it up.
There's this movie starring, it was on Netflix, and it was starring Molly Shannon, and she was a mother who got cancer, and the guy who plays her son wrote it, and he's gay. The character's gay. I'm assuming the writer's gay too, because he wrote it, but...
I'm looking it up. Hold, please.
What was it? I think Bia might beat you.
Could it be Other People? Does that sound right?
Is it Other People?
I don't know.
Is that a series or a movie? Other People sounds like a series.
It was... Oh my God. Other People. That probably was it. Yes. Yeah, I would have never guessed. No, it says comedy and drama. Do you think that was it?
Yeah,
yes, this
it was
is
a dark
it.
comedy.
Yes. This is it.
Other People, but Bia beat you. I just want to
yes,
acknowledge
she totally
that.
beat me.
Anyway, so
written
we
by
watched
Chris Kelly, and Molly Shannon is the mother, and she's dying of cancer, and he is, just coming home to spend time with her before she dies is basically the story, and it's really upsetting and sad. And there's
really good too.
But also really good. And there's a scene at the end, like right before she passes away, and she has a conversation with him and says, "Bret."
Oh, am I supposed to say it? Oh,
say it.
She's laying in. Oh God, I'm gonna cry telling it. She's laying in bed, and he's having a hard time because he's hates coming home because he feels so fish out of water, which both of us being the token gays in our family can relate to. And she says, "I want you to come home and be with your sister, because when I'm gone, you'll see me in her face." And we were just like, oh. It was just so beautiful.
Yeah. And I think there's something too about like this time in our lives where, at least I'm speaking for myself, that I feel so like the time is more precious than ever with my parents. And I'm just always afraid, of not having them here. And I think that just like really hit home for me. And like there was just something about that. It sounds kind of cheesy, but I was like, let's try and have a baby through surrogacy. Like literally, like I think it was that night we talked about it.
Well, you had a moment where you were like, I realized that my dad was the only child, and his bloodline will end. My brother's never gonna have any kids.
Well, maybe not never, but he has not.
And that's a whole nother
that's like another like
episode.
6-part episode
about our siblings. And then I have my oldest brother is on the spectrum, and it's through genetic disorder. And so there's a genetic disability that runs through our family lineage. And so we started talking, and growing up with a brother with special needs was really hard and really difficult. I'm watching my parents still basically take care of him at their age. We were both having this conversation about, well, surrogacy, it's not that it would make things easier, but it would eliminate some of the obstacles that would make this journey a little more challenging. And your father, you could pass down the lineage, and there was something about having a genetic child that just felt real to us.
Yeah.
And I get defensive because what's interesting is that the more we have this conversation publicly, we get a lot of weird backlash from people, because there's a lot of people who believe in adoption, and we believe in adoption.
Do too. And I think that we might adopt
and
still,
we get this judgmental, like I've had some people write some really nasty things to us on social media saying, that we were being greedy. And yet, no one would say that to a mother whose womb wasn't working, or a mother who's having a hard time having a baby. But yet with us, because we're choosing this path, like to go through surrogacy, we get this weird judgment, and especially from other gay men, which I think is so strange. So I'm just saying, I hear you, and however you choose, this is my disclaimer, however you choose to have a family is your choice.
It's your choice, and there's no wrong way to do it.
There's no wrong way.
And
this is the path we're choosing for now.
Yeah, and this is the path we're choosing for now. And I don't think it'll be the only path, but I think it's the path that we're doing today. And hopefully our first child will be here this time next year.
Yeah, so next step we went to Men Having Babies.
We went to Men Having Babies.
Which, if you don't know, that's a nonprofit organization that helps gay men, gay couples who understand their process and their options, and even offer grants and discounts depending on your financial needs, because surrogacy is kind of like having the Tesla of babies. It's not cheap. and choosing this path is as an artist, choosing the path of surrogacy is not an easy path, and we knew that.
Yeah, and I think that was why we weren't really ever looking into it. And then I had this literally, I think it felt like it was just, I was so emotional about the way I was just emotional from seeing that movie. It just like really struck something inside of me, and I was like, I feel like this is what we have to do. And so that was that.
Yeah, so we met our doctor, and we'll do a whole episode about that. But our doctor basically told us that there was a way to do it that didn't require us to drop a huge amount of money up front. And so we started the process, and
we started.
It's been two years ago.
Yeah, like around this time 2 years ago was the first time I supplied my specimen in a cup, and yeah, that was 2 years ago. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And we've learned so much, and we've gone through so much, but that's basically what we wanted to tell you guys, how we came to the decision of having a baby via surrogacy. And there's a lot that has to happen, and we're going to share it with you guys because we think there's so much that people don't know and understand about the process, including us, and we've been learning as we go.
Every time we go to the doctor, it's like, what?
There's all this vocabulary and Facebook groups, and there's a lot. So get ready to learn a lot about same-sex family building on upcoming episodes of the Broadway Husbands. We hope that is enlightening to you guys. And if you have requests or want some information, check out the show notes, and we will have links to everything below. Anything else you want to share, Stephen?
No, just that I'm excited to build our family together, and and hopefully I can still take the initiative. I mean, it's still a work in progress.
You better get it down before that baby comes, because
no, but it was really funny because I thought he was breaking up with me, and he said, "You really need to start taking the initiative."
And you did. That's what I liked about you. Still like about you.
I took the note.
If I give you the note, you take it. Okay, so here's a little commercial we're gonna do for you guys. Here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Stephen.
Yeah.
Do you love Broadway?
Yeah.
Do you love apparel?
Oh my God, I love apparel.
Do you love Broadway Life apparel?
What's that?
Check out our witty and fun designs that keep your love for theater alive with a little wink wink. Visit Broadway Life Apparel and enter the promo code Broadway Husbands to get 15% off your first purchase. These shirts are great holiday gifts for the theater lover in your family. All right.
On this podcast, we encourage you to love who you love and love what you do.